Hey everybody, it's All for His Glory Alone, also known as the Bible Answer Dog.
Yeah, I have a question for you, a Bible question.
Sure.
So I was reading in Matthew, I forget the exact chapter, but it's when Jesus um, he talks to a Gentile woman who I think is, I forget if she's begging to be healed or for healing for her daughter, and Jesus says something to her like, have only been sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And then she's
Okay.
and it's not right to give to the dogs the children's food, that kind of thing. and
Okay.
and then she says that she or that the dogs can eat the crumbs, and then Jesus is admires her faith and performs the healing. One
Right.
of my questions was, why does Jesus say that he was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel?
Well, it's a passage that I've heard before. I haven't dealt with for a while, but what I would say is that Jesus was actually sent here to be a suffering servant under the law, and he was sent to his lost sheep, which were the elect, and also to Jerusalem. So he had a mission. Um, so he's basically stating his purpose for being there to her. And then she reminds him of like what you're saying, and he shows compassion on her. There is a mystery in the incarnation where Jesus is moved by things and has emotions about things. You say, well, why is he crying? He already knew it was going to happen, or whatever. People say those kind of things.
Hmm.
So Jesus was, not only was he God, but he was actually real man. But he's just stating that he did have a purpose there, and Jesus was sent uh, for the lost sheep. In Matthew chapter 1, I believe it's verse 21, it says he has come for the sins of his people. So
Yeah.
he did have a particular mission there.
That's
So he's
interesting.
he's simply stating that he has a reason for being there.
It'd be interesting to think about what he means by lost sheep of the house of Israel, because it sounded like you interpreted that as the elect.
Yeah, I mean, let's actually look at the let me actually look at the text so
Yeah.
I can make sure that I'm getting it in context here. You said it's Matthew.
It's Matthew chapter 15, starting in 21 to 28.
Jesus went away from there and withdrew into the district of Tyre and Sidon, and the Canaanite woman from that region came out and began to cry out, saying, have mercy on me, Lord, son of David. My daughter is cruelly demon possessed. But he did not answer her a word, and his disciples came and implored him, saying, send her away. She keeps shouting at us. But he answered and said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. So he's answering them, not her. So this is why it's good to go back to the context and read it.
Ah, yeah, interesting.
So he's answering them to her, and then he says, but he answered and said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But she came and began to bow down before him, saying, Lord, help me. And he answered and said, it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to dogs. But she said, yes, Lord, but even the dogs feed from the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus said to her, O woman, your faith is great. It shall be done for you as you wish. And her daughter was healed at once. Departing from there, Jesus went along the sea again. Okay, I'll give you my honest answer. I'll probably have. Unfortunately, I can't call Dr. Bob. He passed away,
Yeah.
so I would have to maybe take some time to look at this a little bit more. On the surface, I would say that being a Jew and them being Jews and realizing that they viewed certain other people outside of their region as like the Samaritans and stuff like that. They used to call them dogs and things like that. So he's basically testing her and saying, why should I came here to these people, why should I give this precious thing to someone that's considered a dog? Now, it's not necessarily that he is calling her an actual dog. He's demonstrating something in front of his disciples, that it is by faith that you approach God, and it isn't by your uh, ethnicity or genealogy or whatever. And that's like when you look at John chapter 1, where it says it's not by these who received him did not receive him by the flesh, or by I'll have to look that verse up so I don't misquote it. It basically says they don't receive him by their bloodline, or by their will, or by anything else, but it's by faith. So if you take John chapter 1, verse 11 through 13, and then you look at this, I think what Jesus was doing is he was demonstrating something before his disciples. The disciples thought of these people as dogs, and so he's saying, okay, woman, why should I give to a dog something that's meant for the master's table? And she says, and she showed that she had faith, and he turns around and says, oh woman, your faith is great, it shall be done unto you. And I think he's teaching them a lesson.
Or it talks about like the Messiah becoming to the Gentiles as well. So it's kind of interesting. The lost sheep of the house of Israel. Like, what is like why?
You have to take in an account that there is a progression to Jesus's ministry, because he says, I must go. I have sheep of another fold. I must go to them. So originally he didn't go to them. He went to his people, because John chapter 1 says he came to his people and his people did not receive him. But to as many as receive him, he gave the power. And so right there in the first chapter of John, it says that there's going to be a rejection from his people. But he did come to his people first.
Hey, thanks, James.
Have a good night. Come back. I think this was great.